So I got a good one for you today. I had never delved into Frost Spear, the Ash of War, but I have definitely been missing out because this Ash of War is incredible. I've put together a build we're calling Ronnie's Consort, and it is a ton of fun to play, does a crazy amount of damage, and frost damage is one of my favorite affinities in all of Elden Ring. So with that being said, let me show you what I got. As stated before, I love everything Frost, and when moving into Frost Sorceries, as well as adding Frost Ash of Wars to a really good weapon, this is a very fun build to play, and you're going to have a blast. I love taking massive chunks of damage, not only off of the enemy's health with Sorceries, but also whenever Frost does proc, you get a massive chunk of damage from their health bar that goes way down, and it makes the build feel really powerful, as well as giving you a unique playstyle, mixing up Ashes of War and Sorceries together, which I think is great. This build is going to be level 170, but the only thing I've really added is some health and endurance, so you can definitely play this at 150 and you will have very similar results. Everything you're seeing in this video has been recorded on New Game Plus 5, and I am staying really close to that meta level, so I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Let's start off this build with the talismans and what makes everything work. So the first talisman that we're using is going to be the Graven Mask Talisman, which is going to boost our sorceries by 8%. We are using 3 separate sorceries in this build, and it's going to boost those, making those do more damage. The second talisman we're using is the Shard of Alexander. This is going to boost our Ice Spear Ash of War on our spear, and it's going to allow it to hit 15% harder. Ice Spear already hits pretty hard and does some poise damage, so adding that extra damage on top of it is going to make it feel that much better. And for our third talisman, we are going to be using the Magic Scorpion Charm. This is going to raise our attack but lower our damage negation. So what that means is you are going to gain 12% magic damage, however you are going to take an increased 10% damage, so you definitely want to stay at range with this build, as well as pick your windows of opportunity where the Ice Spear Ash of War is going to be able to activate fully to get that damage off that you need. And finally, for our fourth and last talisman slot, we are using the Ritual Sword Talisman. This is going to raise our attack power by 10% when our HP is at maximum. If you get hit with this build, you do have to immediately heal, or else that 10% attack power is not going to be there, and it goes away the second you are taking damage. However, all these talismans synergize very well with this build, and if you do find yourself taking more damage than you would like, then you can swap out the Ritual Sword Talisman for the Graven School Talisman, which is also going to help boost your sorceries even farther, allowing you to do more spell damage, although you aren't going to get that 10% attack power boost because you're not using the Ritual Sword Talisman. Now, in order to find all of these talismans, the Graven Mask Talisman is going to be located in the consecrated snowfields right here on the map. You just have to summon some imp ashes in order to kill the other imps in the area, and then this talisman will be yours after you climb the tower. For the Shard of Alexander, you need to do Alexander's questline. I will leave that entire video linked down in the description below so you guys can go check that out. For the Magic Scorpion Charm, you have to do Celavus's questline, and once again, I will leave that video down below because I have a full quest guide explaining everything. And lastly, the Ritual Sword Talisman is going to be located in the Lux Ruins right here on the map after you defeat the Demi-Human Queen within it. Now, our armor actually does matter for this build. Typically, I like to keep things just aesthetic, but in terms of this exact armor, everything has an exact purpose. So for this armor, we are wearing the Spellblade set minus the hat. The Spellblade set is going to boost your Ash of War damage, which obviously we want Ice Spear to hit as hard as we can, so that's why we're wearing this set. And then we're also wearing the Snow Witch hat, which is going to boost our Frost Sorceries, and we are actually using nothing but Frost Sorceries, so this hat was a no-brainer. And guys, real quick, I want to thank you so much for watching this far into the video. It means a lot. If you like the channel and you're enjoying the content of this video, feel free to subscribe, hit that bell notification. It does go a long way, and it's free for you guys. Also, I had never used sleep pots on the Godskin Duo in my entirety of playing this game. It is game-changing. It is now the easiest boss in all of Elden Ring, so I'm really excited that I finally got to use that. If you want to know how to make sleep pots, where to farm all the materials, and how to get them, I will leave that video down in the description below. So without further ado, let's jump back into the video. Now, before we wrap up talking about the armor, I do want to tell you where to get everything I'm wearing. So first and foremost, the Spellblade set is going to be given to you from Roger if you naturally progress his questline in Round Table Hold, and the Snow Witch hat can be found during Ronnie's questline. As you progress and finally get access to Renna's Rise, it will be at the top of the tower right here on the map. Now, as far as the weapons go for the build, we are using the Clayman's Harpoon. Obviously, we've put Ice Spear here on this weapon, and it scales fantastically because this weapon is going to scale with strength and intelligence, which is exactly the build that we are using. It's going to cause frost buildup at 104. You're also going to be doing some magic damage and physical damage with this weapon, and it isn't actually terrible. There's been times when I haven't been able to get a cast off or get the Ice Spear Ash of War on, and if you just poke them with the Clayman's Harpoon, it actually does a decent amount of damage. The attributes required are 12 strength, 12 intelligence, and 10 dexterity, and if you want to find this weapon, you can find it from the Shifra River, and you can loot it from the Claymen that are patrolling there. Now for our weapon in our offhand, we're going to be using the Carrion Regal Scepter. This has excellent sorcery scaling, and if you want to use the Lusat's Glintstone Staff, you can also use that here, except I didn't want to have more FP taken from the sorceries that I was using, so I landed on the Carrion Regal Scepter. It has excellent attributes in intelligence with strength D, intelligence S, and dexterity S, and overall this is a fantastic staff to use. However, it is going to be a later game staff as it requires 60 intelligence to wield. That being said, the sorcery scaling is 315, and it's definitely going to be a phenomenal staff for you to use, pumping out a decent amount of damage. You're going to be able to access this scepter from the Remembrance of the Full Moon after you defeat Renala in Raya Lucaria. You just need to take this remembrance to Round Table Hold and turn it into Inya, and then you can go ahead and grab this scepter. Now for our Flask of Wonders Physic, we have two tiers that work very well together. The first of which is the Magic Shrouding Crack tier, which is going to boost our magic damage by 20%, and the second tier we're using is the Cerulean Hidden tier, which is going to eliminate all FP consumption for 15 seconds. So you can drink the flask, do a ton of damage, and have no penalty to your FP if you're casting a bunch of sorceries. Now when it comes to both of these tiers, the Magic Shrouding Crack tier is definitely the one you want to use in slot 1. Slot number 2, you can wiggle around with a little bit depending on what you need. I know that Ice Spear does a little bit of poise damage, so if you want to use a Stance Break tier in here, that may work well for you as well, but these are the tiers that I have chosen. The Magic Shrouding Crack tier is going to be dropped from the Erdtree avatar in the northeast of Liurnia of the Lakes here on the map, and the Cerulean Hidden tier is going to be found after you destroy the Ulcerated Tree Spirit east of the Road of Iniquity Site of Grace, located right here. Now for our sorceries, we're using Glintstone Ice Crag, Zaymor Ice Storm, and Adula's Moonblade. All of them do frost damage. All of them are fantastic for different situations you use them in. The Zaymor's Ice Storm has a great area of effect damage. Adula's Moonblade is an awesome sword sorcery that's going to provide not only an initial hit with the sword, but also a projectile frost horizontal slash. And lastly, the Ice Crag is going to allow us to get those very fast casts off, building up frost and doing some poise damage, so there is the ability to break stances with this sorcery. And lastly, let's take a look at the stats for the build. If you've watched this far in the video, thank you so much. It means a ton. But for our stats, we're using 50 Vigor, 22 Mind, 28 Endurance, 40 Strength, Dexterity is at 23, Intelligence is at 70, and Faith and Arcane have not been touched. As stated before, I am level 170, so you probably will not have as much Strength and Dexterity with this build, but you will get very similar damage at level 150. This is just the level that I've chosen to go as the DLC approaches. And guys, that's going to be it for our Ranni's Consort build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm starting to have a lot more fun with Intelligence builds. Typically, like I said, I love Strength builds. They're just so fun to play, but Intelligence is actually starting to be a very fun time. So let me know if you guys are taking an Intelligence build into the DLC. First off, that's crazy. I don't know why you would ever do that, but if you are, let me know what your build is going to be. Feel free to subscribe and hit the bell notification on your way out. And guys, until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.